I thought long and hard about making this video, and I really thought about this. After looking at this 30 to nothing loss from the Falcons and looking at what's going on with them, I'm really thinking about, well, I pretty much got my mind made up of how I'm going to treat my channel as far as doing content creation on the Falcons. I already know. Now, when it comes to Georgia Southern, they're 2-2. They're actually on pace on where I thought they would be for the year. I think they can still finish 10-3. They're talented enough, and the way things are lining up look like that's going to be the case. I can live with that. I'm okay with that. But with the Falcons, after you lose to the Carolina Panthers and you already lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you're 0-2 in the division. You're 1-2 overall. And the way the team looks, I don't know what to make of this team. Is this the team that played against Minnesota, or is this the team that we saw this past Sunday? I don't know. And it's really frustrating. It's like, should I even continue to look into making content for this team? I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I would waste my time doing content for this team any longer. I think the team is young. I think they got a lot of talent. And I think they're doing everything right outside of the coaching. And I think the coaching is an issue that not many people want to talk about, because we like Raheem Morris. But when you look at him, you look at Zach Robinson. And to an extent, you can probably even look at Jeff Ulbrich, even though I think he's still a pretty good defensive-minded coach. You start looking at what they got in front of them, I just think that this team is probably going to end up collapsing yet again. It's just something about the Falcons that you look at them and they're like, you put everything in place, and it's always like these one or two little mishaps that make the whole house of cards fall apart. It's always been that way for a very long time. When you had Matt Ryan, the defense didn't hold up. When you had a defense, there was, what you saw the offense kind of sputter at times, because Matt Ryan wasn't perfect, but you saw things that didn't go right offensively when the defense did hold up their end of the bargain, whether it be penalties or whatever the case may be, but it was one or the other. It never was a collective situation where the entire team falls apart, unlike what we saw yesterday. Yesterday was the entire team collapse. And I don't know if they're going to be able to pick themselves up after that. It's really bad. Even when the Desmond Ridder days was there, you saw it was a Desmond Ridder issue. It wasn't the entire team. When you saw it last year, the defense didn't hold up their bargain at the end of the year, but you saw how everything fell apart. Once Kirk Cousins went down, it was a wrap. And he didn't want to tell nobody that he went down. So it's always like these one or two things that falls apart, and everything falls apart. And I don't know at this point, am I willing to go through the motions and continuously talk about this team that I like this team. I can't say I love this team, but I like this team a lot. I like the franchise. I love rooting for the home team. But when you start looking at things like this, it's like, and you see other content creators, shout out to them. They do a phenomenal job. I don't know if I want to continue to pile on with that. I'd rather just sit here and talk about Georgia Southern, which now that's a team that I love. And even though I grew up as a prominent Chicago Bulls fan, I've been rooting for the home team for my whole life, just not as much as I should. But I really like what the Atlanta Hawks are doing. And I want to continue to talk about them as well. I can't wait the basketball season start. I think it's going to be great to talk about them and actually see what they're hitting on. But when it comes to the Falcons, man, it's just it's pretty depressing. It really is. It's really depressing talking about this team and watching their shortcomings happen in real time. I'll contrast this with the Georgia Southern Eagles. We were frustrated with Georgia Southern because we thought they were better than what they advertised. We really thought that this was a team that was going to be the Boise State of 2026 or 2025. Boise State went into the college playoff, and they actually played fairly well, all things considered, in the playoff game. We thought Georgia Southern was going to be that, and we saw what happened with Fresno State and USC, and to an extent, Jacksonville State. And we were a little upset because our expectations are high. And so we get it. But when we really sit back and think about it, Georgia Southern is exactly who they are. And I'm okay with that. Go ahead and try to win the Sun Belt title. Go ahead and try to win a good, solid bowl game, and all will be well. But we really thought that they were a little bit above what they actually are. When it comes to the Falcons, this team literally had the potential to be a NFC title contender, and like no joke, and they may still well be. But you know, a lot of things can happen in the next 14 games. But right now, that's probably like a 5% chance. And you saw this team on paper with a young quarterback, good running game, good offensive line, albeit that the guys are, a couple guys are injured. They still got a good, solid offensive line. You saw what the front seven can do, and you had a secondary that actually held up their end of the bargain, even with A.J. Terrell out. You see all of this, and you thought that they were going to be a contender, and they literally fell apart. Now, with us, we're not saying that our expectations are too high for the Falcons, because you see it. With Georgia Southern, we probably stretched it a little bit. But with the Falcons, there's no stretch. This team is supposed to be the top team in the NFC South, and you saw what happened. They contended well with Tampa Bay. I give them that. Missed the field goal, probably could have took it to overtime. You give them that. But what happened yesterday, that's not nowhere close to what the Falcons are supposed to be. And with that being said, I'm like sitting there thinking like, why am I wasting my time? If they come back and they make something out of the season, cool. But I just don't see myself just being on this bandwagon as far as content creating. I will root for them. But as far as like continuously making content about them, it's really depressing. If they go and they go on a run, I will root for them behind the scenes. I just don't see myself really making content on it, good, bad, or indifferent at this point. Because even though they go on a run, it's always something that will probably let me down. And that sucks. And I shouldn't feel that way. And I know some people may say, oh man, you shouldn't feel like that. You'll be back doing this, that, and the third. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't see myself coming back and being rah-rah for this team any longer. I think we know what we got at this point. As schizophrenic as it was when you saw the Minnesota game, I think we got what we got. Because out of the two games that we saw against them in Tampa Bay and what we saw with Carolina, I really feel we know what we got. As far as Georgia Southern, I think they're going to be fine. I think that team is going to be fine. I mean, they live up to the expectations of what they actually are. It's just unfortunate they haven't gone above and beyond what we thought they could be. But as far as them being who they are exactly who they are. The Falcons are not. And I just don't see myself putting my time and energy into that. I just don't see it. And I know and the people who do primarily Falcons content, that's tough. That is really tough. That's pretty bad. That you gotta endure making content on stuff like this where the team is not holding up their end of the deal, and you literally have to make content to be upset. You know, and nobody should have to deal with that. You know, that's a bad spot you put people in, to be the angry content creator because your team is not doing what they're supposed to do. And I just don't have the energy to put that out there. I just don't. It really sucks to be in that position. And if Georgia Southern falls out by the wayside and I be angry at them, it is what it is, because, you know, with them, I know what I'm getting with them. I know exactly what type of team we have with them. The Falcons are a bunch of fool's gold. They really are. I mean, with what they put out there yesterday, it seemed like they're a bunch of fool's gold. And if they bounce back, great. But this has been decades worth of letdown. And I'm not walking away from the team or whatever. It's just that I just don't see myself putting energy into it. I just can't. Good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just like, all right, y'all over there, if y'all do something, I'll clap for you. But in the meantime, I just can't go through the motions with it. I got other things I'd rather talk about on the channel. I just rather do, you know, so go Eagles, go Hawks, hell, even go Falcons. But yeah. So let me know what y'all think. Have y'all checked out completely with the Falcons as well? How do y'all feel? Like y'all just watching from a distance like I am? I just don't see myself covering them, man. They about to play Washington, and yeah, hopefully they win. But I'm not going through the X's and O's and talking about it. I just can't. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I'm going to get up out of here. Y'all be blessed. All right, y'all. Peace.